This month, the Jake Paul Show returns to town, with the influencer turned combat sports disruptor set to face Tommy Fury on Showtime. Fury, Tyson's younger brother, appears to pose the most serious danger to Paul's unbeaten record. This will be Paul's first bout against an opponent with true boxing experience in his early career. First things first, let's look into Paul's accusations. Jake Paul will face Tommy Fury, the younger brother of a heavyweight champion and Tyson Fury, next month in an attempt to make it 5-0 in his brief pro boxing career. The younger Fury enters the fight with a 7-0 record and is Paul's sole opponent with genuine boxing experience. The fight's discussions were made public, with Paul accusing Fury of almost losing the fight. The influencer even claimed that his competitor was too preoccupied with Molly to sign his contract. As a result of these allegations, Paul said to have included in his contract that if Fury loses, he must change his name to Tommy Fumbles, in allusion to Fury purportedly almost fumbling the bag. John Fury, Fury's father, recently spoke with Spanish media Marca about some of the contract's other features. Notably, John Fury was enraged by Paul's rejection of the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association's inspection, that's VADA. Paul, in typical Paul brother fashion, has managed to make the bout with Fury interesting and childish, much as he did with his previous opponent, Tyron Woodley, obviously to help the fight go a bit more viral. With the former UFC welterweight champion, his clause was whoever lost the match would have to get a humiliating tattoo. Next, dope to win? Fury's furious. An obligation to submit to drug testing given by VADA is not included in Paul and Fury's contract, Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency again. Tommy said that they wanted this in the clause, but Paul was against it. According to John Fury, this was disappointing considering this was a clause they really wanted to have in it. Former UFC champion Michael Bisping recently discussed Paul versus Fury on YouTube. Paul's ability to go 4-0 in pro boxing and generate a lot of noise in his combat sports world was complimented by him. He did say though that he was suspecting that the problem child will refuse VADA testing in his forthcoming battle. Bisping of MMA News said that we've recently seen Jake Paul's rise and now he's doing great things in combat sports despite the fact that he's still young in his career. But he just moments ago, MMA Junkie did an article and they said that he's refused the drug test for his most recent fight. He hasn't denied a drug test, but he has refused to accept drug testing for his most recent bout with Tommy Fury, which is strange. He's included requirements like you must change your name to Tommy Fumbles and other odd things like that. Bisping went on to remark that there are a lot of requirements in there, a lot of rules, and a lot of work for the attorneys to put in, but he declined to have VADA testing done or indicated he didn't want it done, which in Bisping's opinion is a bit suspect because if he's got nothing to hide, why would he refuse to have the test? Paul would still be tested. Because VADA will not be participating in this fight, the Florida State Boxing Commission will be in charge of drug testing for Paul versus Fury, which will take place in Tampa Bay, Florida. The World Anti-Doping Agency's list of prohibited drugs for combat sports is similar to that of Boxing Commission, WADA. Paul passed the local commission's drug test in his most recent fight against Tyron Woodley in Cleveland, Ohio. Up next, Fury's withdrawal on medical grounds. But regardless, 2 days ago, December 6th, Fury withdrew from the match. He revealed he was heartbroken after suffering a severe chest infection and broken rib. Frank Warren, Fury's promoter, stated that he was obviously not anything near 100%. However, in a video uploaded on Twitter on Monday afternoon, Paul slammed Fury's decision to withdraw. It's official, Tommy Fury is boxing the biggest. The boxer said to his 4 million Twitter followers. He stated he couldn't believe the news at first and that Fury's decision to withdraw from the fight due to the medical ailment still didn't seem genuine to him. He continued to rub it in by adding that instead of getting paid millions of dollars to fight Paul, Fury will now be watching from home and paying him $60. He continued to brag about having fought with a broken nose, having fought ill, and that's all part of boxing, but according to Paul, Fury withdrew because he was terrified and the pressure as well as the trash talk getting to him. Next, in other boxing news, Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. The WBC has ordered Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte to begin negotiations for a mandatory WBC heavyweight title fight, which means Alexander Usyk will fight Anthony Joshua again. The WBC had publicly ordered Fury to fight Whyte, the WBC interim champion, if an undisputed world title fight could not be agreed upon within 30 days. Despite a stalemate between Whyte and the WBC, the Brixton man will want a mandatory championship battle versus Fury for next year. The announcement of Fury versus vs. White has put a stop to any rumors of an undisputed world championship fight between the WBC champion and Alexander Usyk, who will face Anthony Joshua in a rematch. Last month, White challenged Fury to resolve their heated animosity in the ring in an interview with Sky Sports. Next, Josh Taylor and John Catterall are now enemies? In a homecoming fight against WBO mandatory challenger Jack Catterall at the SEC Hydro in Glasgow on February 26th, live on Sky Sports, Josh Taylor defends his WBC, IBF, WBA, and WBO World Super Lightweight titles. Taylor was supposed to fight Catterall this month, but due to knee injury, he had to delay the fight, and now he's focusing all of his rage on the WBO mandatory challenger. He claims to have a lot of respect for Jack, and Jack claims to have a lot of regard for him, but they're enemies right now, and he despises his guts, and if the battle was next week, he'd be more than willing to fight him. Taylor has been linked to a battle with American great Terrence Crawford in the future, but the 30-year-old claims he's only focused on the danger that Catterall poses. Catterall is facing a significant step up in level, definitely, but the unbeaten Corley fighter is confident in his ability to pull off a spectacular victory. Taylor, who has 13 stoppages and 18 victories, has warned that he's capable of handing Catterall a severe loss. Now, underdog Southpaw poses a threat to Andrade. Demetrius Andrade may soon relinquish his WBO 160-pound title in order to compete for Canelo's belt at 168 pounds. If Andrade climbs up to super middleweight, he might become Canelo Alvarez's WBO mandatory, placing him in a position where he'd have to defend against him or vacate. Andrade, who's 31-0, 19 KOs, may abandon his middleweight belt after learning that the World Boxing Organization has ordered him to defend against the dangerous but little-known Janibek Alimkhanuly, according to Eddie Hearn. Hearn has been relentless in his efforts to persuade WBC middleweight champion Jermall Charlo, WB mandatory Jamie Mangua, and Gennady Golovkin to fight Demetrius, but to no avail. Now that Andrade has been ordered by the WBO to begin discussions with 2016's Olympic Janibek, who's 11-0, 7 KOs, it's a bout that promises nothing but difficulty and no actual profit. Aside from the danger involved for Andrade in dealing with the excellent southpaw from Kazakhstan, Hearn will have a difficult time promoting the bout. Casual boxing fans in the United States and the United Kingdom are unfamiliar with Janibek, and they're unlikely to be enthusiastic about Demetrius defending against him, rather than one of the more well-known names at 160. Hearn insists that Canelo isn't dodging anyone, but he certainly doesn't want anything to do with Andrade. If Canelo's choice to face Yanvia Yildirim rather than Demetrius isn't avoiding, I don't know what is. Next, we're talking about Deontay Wilder considering retirement. Deontay Wilder, the 36-year-old former WBC heavyweight champion, confesses he's undecided about competing again in the future. Wilder fought in one of the finest heavyweight battles in recent memory in October. In the 11th round of his trilogy bout with Tyson Fury, he was knocked out. Wilder was knocked down in the 3rd round, but came back to knock out Fury twice in the 4th. Fury would fight back to knock out Wilder in the 10th and 11th rounds. In the defeat, the big puncher had a hand injury that necessitated surgery. He's recuperating from the operation and spending time with his family at the moment. Wilder is contemplating his future in the sport while sitting on the bench. In the heavyweight class, Wilder still has lots of options. Wilder's co-manager, Shelley Finkel, is expecting his fighter to return in the ring in 2022. Wilder's next bout, he feels, will most likely take place in the first part of next year. Well, that's the end of today's video, guys. Hope you liked it. What do you think about Jake Paul rejecting drug tests? Why do you think Fury backed out of the match? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. To keep seeing content like this, subscribe to our channel and ding that notification bell to be notified whenever we upload more content. Stay tuned. Catch you on the next one.